Know your rights. Know your rights. Well, do you wake up thinking there's no justice? No one to turn to, lonely roads, mountains of complaints. It's a fight to survive. You got to know your rights. Woo. Yes, you got to know your
Welcome
rights.
to Inside the OUR, a 5-minute program that examines the issues before the Office of Utilities Regulation and brings you face to face with the people handling those issues. I am your host, David Geddes.
Yes, you got to know your rights. Hey! Daily living is a struggle. High bills, equipment damage. Sometimes you wonder if you have the right.
Today, we continue our discussion with the Director General of the Office of Utilities Regulation, Mr. J. Paul Morgan.
We know that OUR sets standards for the utility companies, specifically JPS and National Water Commission. What are these standards designed to do?
The standards are introduced for 2 or 3 specific reasons. The first and the high-level technical standards as such set parameters which are not inconsistent with those that one establishes in other countries and in first world countries as to the level of reliability of the services that are being provided. And these are fairly high-level standards which would speak, for instance, to the number of outages per year, which one would expect of the CJPS. Once you set those standards, it then immediately defines the level of, I mentioned it earlier, the level of reserve capacity that would be needed in the system and so on. So that's the one side of it. It sets a reliability criteria in the first instance, or establishes some reliability criteria in the first instance. Now, on the other side of the coin, perhaps on the softer side, the way in which we set the tariffs for both NWC and for JPS, and in fact, for that matter, for the landline services of Cable and Wireless, is based on what we call a price cap arrangement. And what it does is that we fix prices for 5 years, and the companies are allowed to adjust those prices annually, but discounted, if you like, for efficiency gains. And this for instance, it's allowed to, the prices are allowed to be adjusted at the rate of inflation, less what we call a productivity factor. Now, it then forces the companies to become increasingly efficient. Now, as they strive to become increasingly efficient, to maximize their profits, it is possible that service standards and quality can deteriorate. So what we have to do concurrently with that is to introduce a set of standards to ensure that they don't compromise the quality of service and the level of service that they afford to consumers. And so this is really the genesis behind the setting of the standards. And there are 2 types. There are the overall standards which relate to the system generally, and then there are and apply to customers across the board. And then there are the guaranteed standards which relate to the individual relationship between the company on the one hand and the particular customer on the other. And all designed, as I said, to ensure that the companies don't compromise on quality as they strive to get efficiencies.
Come to OUR.
You have been watching Inside the OUR, a program that looks at the issues before the Office of Utilities Regulation.
If you've been to a utility company and are dissatisfied with the outcome of their investigation, file an appeal with OUR. File a complaint from available post office island-wide, or call toll-free 1-888-CALL-OUR. Regulation for all consumer, country and company. No hugs, no partiality. Everybody has rights, so you got to know your rights. I'll be just said that. So you got to know your rights. So you got to know your rights. Say you got to know your rights.